Hello and welcome to another edition of Radio YesCymru, the podcast which is also on the YesCymru YouTube. Follow us, like us and share us and spread the good news about independence and independence for Wales. My guest today is Aled Williams from Carmarthen, and we're going to be discussing a big independence march which is happening in June. Shwmae Aled?
Shwmae Sean, how are you?
Not too bad, thanks. Welcome to the Radio YesCymru podcast, the podcast for independent Wales. Aled, looking forward to this. So basically, regular followers of the Radio YesCymru podcast and YesCymru people will know about the various rallies we've had. The first one to 2019 in Cardiff. We've been to Cardiff twice, Swansea, Wrexham and Carmarthen. And the new one now, and Merthyr, of course. Well, how could I forget Merthyr?
Don't forget Merthyr, Sean.
Merthyr boys. Phil Griffiths will be on my back now. So next one's Carmarthen. Aled, tell us when and the route, if people know Carmarthen.
When, the big question, it will be June the 22nd at 1 p.m. in Carmarthen. That's when the march starts. As always with these kind of discussions in the background, you keep talking about dates and when is it going to be? Is it going to be the following weekend or the previous weekend? And you talk about clashes. Originally, it was set for the 29th of June. It is not the 29th of June. Let me make it clear that it is the 22nd of June.
Yeah.
But we originally set on the 29th because it clashes with the Euros. And we were quite conscious. When you go back to the early stages of these decisions and the discussions, Wales still had the potential.
We should have been there, Alan. I'm starting to get a little angry about this now because there's not the game. I didn't stay for the penalties. I just couldn't take that.
We are obviously sidetracking to more important things here, like why Wales are not at the Euros. But to take you back to those sort of February, March discussions, we thought, hey, if Wales are in the Euros, would you really want to hold an independence march at home in Wales, where the likely
the vast majority of people are in Germany?
Exactly, and your true followers possibly are out there. And also on the 29th, there is another event in Carmarthen, the Wales Balloon Festival, which is a new event, and we didn't know much about it. But organisers were selling it as an attraction that would attract 10,000 people to Carmarthen. The police and the local authorities were getting a bit worried that with the Wales Balloon Festival and a march on the same day, it would double the population of Carmarthen, and it was poo-pooed fairly early in the discussions. So let's repeat: it's the 22nd of June, and it's 1 p.m.
Good. Well, that's sorted. So, and what briefly is the route? I mean, we're talking you tell us what the route is, and people who know Carmarthen, maybe we can go through that in a minute if people don't.
For people who know Carmarthen, it starts and finishes in Carmarthen Park. Morfa Lane, Carmarthen Park. You could say there's a very large supermarket next door starting with the letter T. So Carmarthen Park, where Carmarthen Quins.
Fine. Okay.
So where the Quins play.
All right. Okay.
It's a fairly central location in Carmarthen. It's a very accessible town, really, and we're encouraging people to arrive by rail if they can, because it's only a few minutes walk away from the railway station.
Yeah, of course.
Meet in Carmarthen Park. People are encouraged to arrive from 11 o'clock onwards because the park is a good venue. You know, it's a safe venue. There's a little park for kids, so for families coming, the kids could play at the playground while people are getting ready, and then we'll form a little snake of a start along the concrete tracks of the park. Start in the park, out to the back gates. The gates will open at 1 p.m.
We're not storming the gates, okay?
The gates are they're quite a feature of Carmarthen, really. They're huge iron gates that open fairly wide onto Morfa Lane, and we don't want any traffic driving into the park while we're walking out. So they'll be opened at 1, and then out we go, turn left, past the Quins Club, and then turn right along Catherine Street towards what people would recognise as Debenhams. In the middle of town, and then we walk down Red Street through the middle of town past. Am I allowed to name shops like Marks and
Yeah.
Spencer's? I already
Yeah.
have. So we'll pass the likes of Marks and Spencer's and Boots down towards Cafe Nero, and then we'll turn. We'll get then to the Guildhall Square.
Yeah.
To the focal point of Carmarthen town. Sgwâr-Gyfyrddin in the canol. Well, what we're going to do, see, because the Guildhall Square is quite a feature of Carmarthen town.
Yeah.
What we'll do when we get to Guildhall Square, we will turn left.
Oh,
we will walk up Guildhall Square towards the Guildhall building, the iconic Gwynfor platform of Guildhall Square. We'll turn up along one side, then we'll make a U-turn and come down the other side. We'll fill Guildhall Square to be the sort of focal, iconic point of the march, and then down Lammer Street back to the park.
Fine, lovely. Oh, that's a good route. So it's in town. Nice narrow street, which is good for news and for noise and acoustics. So look, and well, that's probably about a mile, isn't it? It's about maybe 2 kilometers. It's not too difficult. I mean, maybe
the Google map in your head is fairly accurate, Sean, because it's 0.9 miles. So you've calculated
there we go.
that pretty well.
This is what happens when you're trying to do the 10,000 steps a day. You get used to different distances. Well, so that's a good route. As I say, the Quinn's place is a good venue, and there's toilets and stuff like that there as well. And it's easy walk from the train station. And it's actually it's a very good route. It's pretty well in town, because I was thinking it's the centre of town is obviously medieval town layout and right in the centre there. So those streets are quite narrow, though the buildings, of course, are Regency or later.
It's a flat route as well for anybody who's got any access queries. It's a flat route all the way. There are 0 steps, and even when we walk on to from the pavement to the road, there are no pavement steps to walk down. It's
so
it's an
there's
easy one. All
slight incline with the Guildhall, but you can easily just not bother going up and just cut across.
You could, but the hope is that people will get to the Guildhall, and it'll be that's possibly where the buzz will be. We're hoping to have a band playing at the middle there as well.
Oh, good, excellent. Well, and it's a proper square, so that's just great. We don't have many squares in Wales, so it's nice to have a.
What's a proper square and a non-proper square?
A square is not an open space; it's an enclosed space. This is what town planners don't understand since the Second World War, because town planning has been disastrous since the Second World War. So the square is an enclosed place, not an open place. Notes to town planners, especially Caboose. Right, so that's good. So I've noticed YesCymru haven't released or under one banner haven't released speakers yet. So I don't know if that's a secret or you're still in discussion or whatever. But is there anything else you can tell us about the content of the march itself?
Speakers will be released.
Ooh.
Names of speakers will be released closer to the event. I'll have to put a disclosure now that I am in no position to release or suggest who the names
I won't hassle it,
would be.
So this is Radio YesCymru podcast, not ways of making you talk. So that's fine. So you alluded there'd be some kind of a band or some music on the Guildhall Square. That's a good idea.
There'll be a big red dragon leading the front. If people who went to Bangor would remember the red dragon leading in Bangor. We'll have the dragon. We will have banners. We will have music. Accordions for Independence have confirmed that they are coming as well. And...
Oh yeah, they're on Facebook. That's a fab idea. Well, I love all these kind of ideas, because the thing is, the whole point. I organise St. David's Day Parade in Amsterdam. The whole point of these things, people are essentially illiterate. People don't even read even less now. That's why I'm on Instagram, because so this is...
You're very critical tonight. Planners and illiterate people are having it.
But people, it's street theatre, isn't it? So basically, you can write as many manifestos as you want. And they are important for our policy, but most people just go for different reasons. But the whole point of having a march is to try and be welcoming, try and enthuse people, to get people involved, and also to show people we're proud to be discussing independence. It's not something to be afraid of, as was the case until until YesCymru started, really. So it's there to be visual, it's there to be noisy, it's there to be happy. That is literally the whole point, and to be colourful.
And Sean, if there is anybody listening who is planning to attend, bring something with you to make some noise.
Yeah.
Bring some music.
Yeah.
Bring a speaker to drag along in a trailer
Yeah.
behind you. The plan is to make the event as inclusive and a warm atmosphere as possible. It'll be a friendly town in Carmarthen, and I think we need the march, as previous marches have done, to reflect YesCymru's principle, really, that
Yeah.
an independent Wales is for everybody in Wales, not a certain person or a certain type of
Yeah.
person. It is for all citizens of Wales to create a better country. We're all part of it. Even people who might disagree with the principle of the march as we're passing them,
Yeah.
they live in the same country as us and share an opinion, and they're free to do so.
Yes, and as also the co-organisers all under one banner implies, that is the whole idea. So there are differences within the independence movement, obviously. So this is one place where people can get together and say, if you're for independence, you're welcome to come on this march as well. Or even if you're not, just drag a friend. We're not. There is no ticket booth where you have to show you support independence. You can just turn up and see how it goes. And I think that's the whole ambience is so important, and how we conduct ourselves as a movement. And also it's exciting, hopefully, isn't it? Because I think people are angry. They're seeing literal sewage in the water. They're seeing rents going up. They're seeing the post office being sold off, and it's going to be more rubbish after that. They're seeing the railways charging soap prices. So people want something which makes them feel good. And Independence Wales, I think, is the only way to try and rectify these core things. And I don't see it happening through Westminster. So this gives us the opportunity to do that and to show we can actually change. People can actually change things. So that's all. Sorry.
There's a better way, isn't there? There's a better way
Yes.
than Westminster. Where that the strapline Westminster doesn't work, has always rung true, I think, with YesCymru and independent supporters in Wales. It doesn't work, and
no, well, it's absolutely crazy. I mean, I keep saying this, but I was in Slovenia when they declared independence in 1991. Literally, when the jets were flowing above us, they had hyperinflation. We had to use your 3 fingers to put over the last 3 digits on the Yugoslav dinar, and that's how much it's worth. So a 40,000 dinar, you put the 3 digits over, is worth 40 dinars. So that's why everyone's asking for Deutschmark. It's a hyperinflation. They get independence. There's a war for 5 years next to them with their old domestic market. And now Slovenia is richer than Wales. It's something hugely has gone wrong. And every year we were told, don't go for independence. We can't afford it now. You're better off sticking in Westminster. Well, we're not. We are not better off sticking off. And, when we see the other small independent countries making a success of it, and we'd be starting from a better position. There wouldn't be any war. There wouldn't be some kind of hyperinflation. We'd be starting from a much stronger position that pretty well every other country which has gained independence. So there's no reason for us not to do it. So these things are so important. So there's going to be music there. Bring your flags. But I think this is an important point you said there, Ale, that if you've got a speaker, bring it with you, because it needs to be noisy.
I remember
otherwise,
in the Swansea march, I was walking with the family alongside someone, I didn't know them at all, and they were dragging a trailer behind them with a speaker.
Yeah. Hello.
Blaring music going up, but it's and sort of question, what are these people? It'll be a very colourful event. It'll be a good day. And the way you're talking there, Sean, I think you've got the vision of an independent Wales happening quite clearly there. So it might happen in Carmarthen. We might have the jets above in Carmarthen, with the authorities realising that, this is a good idea. Let's make Wales independent on the 22nd of June.
The spirit of Twm Carnarvon lives on in Carmarthen, as we know.
There's a plan as well to raise the spirit of Merched Beca, and I know we might leave that one for future release to come out, but there was, for historians who might remember the burning of the workhouse and the attack on the workhouse in Carmarthen, that started with a march of around 4,000 or 5,000 people walking into Carmarthen from different directions, starting from the north, from Newchurch, which is the area I live, marching into town from that direction. a couple on horseback, and Becca herself, and only one dressed as a woman in that match, according to the historical event that I've read. But obviously there are different historical accounts. But then there were people walking from St Clair's as well in that direction, getting to Carmarthen, and it turned a bit riotous when townspeople came out of the pubs and started changing a little bit of the atmosphere and guiding the protesters towards the workhouse. But that kind of element won't be seen in Carmarthen. But the spirit of Becca, isn't it?
Yes,
the
Merched Becca, the daughters of Rebecca, the rebellion against the Tollgates in the 1840s, isn't it?
Yeah, 1839 to 1842.
Yeah, that's 42.
Isn't it, those kind of dates?
That's it. Yes,
but it was for justice, wasn't it? The Rebecca riots. Yes, they protested against the toll gates as an unjust system, and it's the same thing really that drives the spirit of an independence march. A system that is flawed, a system that doesn't work for us as people. So Becca and the spirit of the Rebecca riots will be with us.
Yeah, and the context of the riots was that there'd been some lean years as well around it as well. So there's a context to that. I'd like just to move on to Carmarthen town and the YesCymru crowd down in Carmarthen. Obviously, I've seen you've been seen on Facebook and stuff. You've been out leafleting, which is so important, because the march itself is important, but it's like 1 hour, isn't it? And if you happen to be off in Llanelli for that hour, then you can miss the march to a large extent. So the important stuff, getting the leaflets out door to door, is so important. Get the old-fashioned analog. Not everyone's on social media, not the same social media, obviously. So how much of the town have you leafleted so far? And I've seen you've got people helping you, giving you helping hand. Yeah,
last Wednesday we were out leafleting, and it's an excuse, isn't it, to bring independent supporters together. It is another event, like the march itself. And YesCaerfyrddin are hoping to use this march in town as a bit of a springboard to develop and flourish as well. We had a group out last week, children, adults, different generations. We distributed around 600 leaflets in 1.5 hours blitz. We're going out this Wednesday again. We've got the same supporters. We've got different supporters coming as well. We're hoping to hit double figures in terms of the numbers who come out. And we'll blitz the hilly areas, because once you've got a team with you, it's nice to do the steeper roads in town rather than the flatter bits.
I quite enjoy stick a podcast, Radio YesCymru podcast on. As you do the jolly work of leaflet distribution. But again, that's so important, because it as I say, it does get me sometimes when people say, "Oh, what's the point of banners on bridges and stuff?" The point is to be visual. So a lot of people who don't read newspapers, who don't get stuff, the only way they're going to get access to this independence movement is they've seen YesCymru banners on bridges, or marches, or stickers, or leaflets, and then a lot of people will pass over them, but some people will grab on, and we know that they've joined the movement, or the people at least are aware of it. This is the whole point. There's no point. You can't. The point of YesCymru is to create a mass movement, which can change the temperature, and it has. In the 8 years YesCymru's been going, independence has grown from like 10% of the population to a regular 30 or 1/3 of the population. That's huge, and that's because it's been simple and clear and visual.
Banners for bridges, I think, is a way of measuring the success and the growth of the movement. Banners for bridges we've done several times with YesCaerfyrddin. We've got a wonderful bridge by B&Q. Forgive me for naming stores that are
this is how people think. It's okay.
But the A40 that heads from Carmarthen to the west to Pembrokeshire, it's a busy route. And we've had the independence banners on both sides of the bridge, traffic to Pembrokeshire and traffic back on bank holiday weekends. And it's really interesting how many horns beep.
Yeah, it is. It's incredible.
I keep thinking about it. We hold discussions on the bridge when we wave our flags, and it's roughly about 20-30% of all traffic passing. They hoot their horns.
Yes.
And it's a wonderful way. You drive towards a bridge on a flat road like that, you'll have probably 7 seconds of engagement with the text that's on the bridge. That's 7-second thinking time. And everybody, whatever their opinion, that message will hit them for 7 seconds and they will
Yes.
react. Some people will support and hoot their horns.
Yes.
And hooting a horn is a way of showing public support and growing public support, because
Yes.
once one hoots, another
Yeah.
one hoots, somebody behind
Yes.
hoots. And in a way, it's like a mini referendum, isn't it, on bridges,
It is,
that
and
people show their support.
And it's also it's very democratic, and it's also normalizing the independence debate. And I think because it's done by what they can see as ordinary people, and there's no votes to it, I think it's a tactile way. It's a friendly way for people to approach the whole question. And maybe, as you say, in that car, maybe they're having a quick chat about YesCymru independence. You know, I'm not getting into any illusions as a big discussion on the finer details of, but it's happened which wouldn't happen before. So when people despise bridges and banners on bridges, I think you're just missing a point. You know, it's not clever to say, oh, writing the policy paper. Nobody reads the stuff. You know, nobody reads it literally. So I mean, it's important to have the stuff there. It's important intellectually, but people on the day of the referendum, if ever we have a referendum, I would prefer not to be a referendum, but a vote in the Senate. There will still be people saying, I don't know enough about the economy. That's a trope.
And there will always be people who will never agree.
Yes, exactly. Yes,
because we have to respect people with different political opinions.
And respect they won't come over.
Oh, of course.
And that's it. You know, they're not bad people. They just don't believe in independence. But there'll always be people. I think sometimes when people say, "Oh, I'm not sure the economic arguments," it can be, and it's not only, and it's a polite way of saying I don't agree with it, but I don't want to say that, so I want to sound a bit more intelligent by saying
But it's the same challenge that the current Assembly government, the Welsh government, faces, because the Assembly isn't warmly welcomed by everybody. There are many figures who despise the Assembly. They see it as a waste of money, but the challenge is to make it a success. And when, not if, when Wales gets independent, the challenge will be to make that a success, a cross-party political success.
I have no
working
doubt
together
it will be.
For a better Wales. Because if it's unsuccessful, if it's governed unsuccessfully, then the critics of independence will have a field day.
Yeah, but I have no doubt that it will be a success. Because look, every other Welsh institution has been fine. You know, if you set up today and say, look, we're going to create a Football Association of Wales,
we're back to football now, aren't we?
Yeah, but people will laugh at you, isn't it? You can't afford it. It's too small. There's not enough talent. You know, but I was just watching the Carmarthen against Penabont game on Saturday, was it? Fantastic. You know, at times the FAW was skint, literally skint. But it still existed. And, you know, there's the same kind of... people would be against setting up an FAW, a Welsh football team now, if there wasn't one, wouldn't it? And it'd be exactly the same arguments and exactly the same rubbish. So, I mean, we just got to put the fight.
We're back to football. And isn't it a shame that Wales aren't going to be at Germany? Because...
that would have been
for people who tell me as a Red Wall member that it's just a football match, it's only football.
No.
It is far deeper than that.
Yeah.
And for a nation, for a small nation like Wales,
I know.
it is a statement. It is an international statement that we exist, that we believe, that we compete on an international level.
Yeah.
And I've no doubt that the success of both Welsh football and rugby over the past decade or two, although rugby isn't as successful at the moment, but you go back 10 years and it was winning Grand Slams, etc. That has helped the Welsh nation believe.
The Euros, I have no doubt, Euros 2016 was a huge boost to YesCymru independence. I remember being in Bordeaux, my old man said, Alan, my dad said, you know, the bunting with all 5 of countries competing, Wales there with Germany and France and all the proper countries, in inverted commas. And, you know, for people like myself and you, Alan, this is how it should be. But for a lot of Welsh people, that would have been the first time they just seen that in that context. And in what is a proper game, like, I'm not disparaging rugby, but it's, you know, it's a game played everywhere. You know, the Rugby World Cup is essentially 9 teams, isn't it, who have any chance of. But, you know,
Sean, you were talking about proper town squares earlier. Now you're talking about proper countries. You know,
well,
Wales...
you know, I'm just proper countries.
It's Wales's time to be a proper country, isn't it? And an independent country, respected.
Yes, and I think that was a huge I think that was a huge thing for a lot of people who hadn't really thought of it in that respect. And of course, we did so well.
You go back to Bordeaux, mind, and I think Wales. We were very lucky in Bordeaux. The weather was incredible.
Yeah.
It was a sunny day.
Ben Davis.
And even and sport aside, it was a wonderful location, and we played against Slovakia in our opening game, who weren't an aggressive footballing nation. The supporters were very warm. So the atmosphere in Bordeaux following that game and before the game was very warm, and the Welsh supporters gained a very good name for themselves, and it hit the press widely, didn't it? Or Welsh supporters are behaving very well, and that set the standard for the rest of the Euros. So the behaviour of the Welsh fans were very good. It reflected on us as a nation, which again made people at home or non-sporting supporters to realise, Wales is good. Wales is good. Wales is different, because the English fans always treat football matches differently, and they support in a different way, in a more vocal and aggressive way that doesn't happen in Wales. But we're drifting.
I know, and it's such a pity. We should be in Germany. I'm just so angry about that. just quickly, before we conclude the interview, I've asked a few people this question because it now looks almost inevitable that Starmer, there will be a general election sometime in this year. One presumes now in October sometime. I thought it could be in summer, so it's quite surprising in a way that there was going to be a march at all, because it could easily have been in June or May or something. Assuming then that Starmer wins or Labour is in power, I don't know what you were thinking, and what are people in Carmarthen, YesCymru thinking, how that changes the dynamic of the independence discussion, because so far YesCymru has existed only under a Westminster Tory government. Brexit sort of shook the whole foundations of the British state to a large extent, and what for a lot of people being British meant. But we're now going probably to a Labour Party, which the sort of argument, Wales doesn't vote Tory, we get Tory government in Westminster. So that changes. I mean, do you think a Labour Westminster government will undermine the independence, or will it change it, or how do you think it'll go?
I don't think it changes the position that we're currently in, because we go back to that strapline of Westminster isn't working, and that's the big issue. It's not who's governing in Westminster, it's the political setup of a United Kingdom with a minimum political representation from Wales. It just doesn't work for Wales at all. Now, good luck to any political party who takes over. If Starmer and the Labour Party win, they will face those pressures of being in government, of making those decisions. They will inherit decisions that have been poor for Wales. HS2, for example, will they continue with ploughing money into things and projects that haven't worked for Wales at all, or will they behave differently towards the other nations? Drakeford in Cardiff Bay has been a pro-federal state speaker, isn't he? Whether Starmer and the Labour Party will take that kind of line, because the breakup of the United Kingdom it started, hasn't it? It has started. So whether Starmer has a plan to maintain the United Kingdom, but it will have to mean change. It will lead to change in the current political setup. Handing more powers out to the devolved nations could be an option. Increased federalisation. We'll hear what
I think
what Starmer and the Labour Party have to say.
I mean, I had a very interesting discussion on the last Radio YesCymru podcast with Robin McAlpine from Scotland. It's very worth people listening to that. It's quite a long podcast, but we recorded, I think, the day that the SNP elected a new leader, John Swinney, and he felt that a lot of things, problems obviously in Scotland, which are unique to them, not to us. I don't think I cannot. I think it seems to me the Labour Party has decided no more devolution. Essentially, I mean, whatever Labour Party in Senate say, I think they basically will bow down to Westminster, and we may get some crumbs. The youth justice is devolved, or car parking or something like that. But I think they've decided,
policies, is it?
Yeah, not proper, as I say, yeah, no proper policies. And I think the problem then for West Labour Party is how do they then deal with that? Because I can't see Starmer is going to devolve, and I think he's hearing voices from Labour Party people in Wales like Chris Bryant who are dead against any more devolution. So if people want more, even just want more devolution, and even if you're a Labour Party member who doesn't support independence but would like to see things like justice devolved and policing devolved, I mean, it's in your it's in your favour to support YesCymru, because the Labour Party will not give it from. I can't see intellectually. I think and from policy decision, I think they made a mistake with Scotland by giving devolution. I think a lot of people in the Labour Party centrally think devolution has been a mistake because it's almost led to independence. So I cannot see them saying. I can't see them giving any more devolution. Whatever Gordon Brown goes on about, he's just been given something to keep him quiet. So I mean, if we want more powers for Wales, even if it's not independent, people need to get out on independence marches because it's not going to come through Starmer, I don't think. What the Labour Party in Wales does then, I think they'll try and. The problem is for most Labour Party, the Labour Party is the most important thing. So I think the unity of the Labour Party would be more important than Wales. Let's see what happens. I don't know. I think we're going to.
And the independence movement is different to that, isn't it? That
Right.
The aim is independence, and independence means something different to everybody. Yeah. You won't have two people. If we had a discussion here for an hour, Sean, about what an independent Wales would look like to you and what it would look like to me, it would be different. But yeah. What the aim of these marches is to promote the idea and the thought of independence and a better way. There is a better way than Westminster, and good luck to anybody who is in power in Westminster, because I don't believe that the way that the government is set within a United Kingdom will benefit a nation like Wales. No, historically, it hasn't worked.
I think Starmer's decided to turn the Labour Party into essentially a Christian Democrat party, which in many respects makes a lot of sense, because if you look at Europe, the one party which in every country has been in power most of the time since the Second World War has been a local version of a Christian Democrat party, or Gaullist in France, or whatever. The problem is, I think the British system is so corrupted to a large extent through privatization, the Tory government in the 1980s, that huge parts of the normal state do not belong to the state anymore, which is quite incredible. But I think the remedy for that is so radical that Starmer will be unable to do it to keep that Christian Democrat type brand. I think he sees the Labour Party, which is sort of Christian Democrat, pushes the Tories even further to right into the crazies, and I think that's what he's banking on. But those policies then won't go to the root of the big problems which the UK state has in terms of a distribution of wealth, both geographically and across class and incomes, and also the power vacuum the power suction of vacuum which Westminster has created. So I don't know how he's going to square that unless he has something like 3 terms in power, and I can't see that happening.
Can we hire you for Carmarthen, Sean? Can we find a pub for you after the match, and we'll promote a pint with Sean, and he'll analyse European politics and the position of an independent Wales within Europe.
Yeah, I don't think you'll get many takers for that, and I wouldn't even listen to what myself have to say. And we'd have a good. I think that we need to, as a movement, think how we do. Look into a new era, I think, with a Labour government in Westminster. But I say that our message is clear: it's independence, and the reason YesCymru was formed was to fight for independence. So other people can fight for devolution, but we've been doing the hard miles for independence. So it's quite interesting. I was in a discussion organised by the Commission for Constitutional Change in Wales in Aberystwyth just last Monday, and Cynnog Davies, former Plaid Cymru MP and Senate member, asked the Commission, your 3 options for constitutional future for Wales. One is status quo, second is some kind of federalism, for want of a better word, and the third is independence. And Cynnog asks, and quite reasonable, why haven't you considered confederalism, which is sort of halfway between federalism and independence? And when LAS was a lecturer in international politics in Aberystwyth and was on a commission, said, we had thought of that, but essentially you can only have confederalism with independence. So basically, once you have independence, then you decide to put some of sovereignty back into some kind of shared currency or whatever, armed forces. So essentially, confederalism, which is what kind of supported, can only be achieved by becoming independent first. And I think that's one of the sound reason for independence. So even if you're looking for Wales, which has a very good relationship, Scandinavian-esque relationship with the other nations of this island, then independence is the way for that, because with independence we have all the cards. Then we could decide what to pool as intelligent people and sensible countries and say, okay, we can cooperate on these things. But without independence, we don't have that power. So independence gives Wales the power to give power away if we so decide. But Aled Williams, so the date again, so people don't forget and don't mix up with any balloon festivals.
It is June the 22nd at 1 p.m. You can return the following week for the Wales Balloon Festival, but June the 22nd, 1 p.m.
Yeah.
Bring yourself, bring your family, bring your friends, bring your work colleagues, bring any animals in your family, bring your aunts and uncles and everyone. We'll guarantee sunshine. Let's do that. Let's guarantee sunshine.
And flags and noise as well, please. And as I said, get on the train. I think there's bus coming down from Carmarthen, maybe other couple of places. So keep an eye out for the local places. And we look forward to see the great revelation who the speakers and the music by the guild.
Keep an eye out on social media.
Yeah.
It will be
Aled Williams or YesCaerfyrddin, diolch ti am siarad. Thanks for joining us on Radio YesCymru. Remember to follow Radio YesCymru on your regular podcast apps and on the YesCymru YouTube channel. Share the love, share the news of the Radio YesCymru podcast with your friends and family, and let's get the discussion on independence out to the fields and streets of Wales. Until next time, from me, Sean Jobbins, take care.